People Show. I'm Luke Ramey.
Curtis.
And Looper. You gotta say
I did it on purpose.
I know you did. But our names are right down here.
Yeah.
And our Instagrams, because I'm trying to get more people.
It's still a contest.
Yeah. Still a contest.
I guess.
It's a team sport, so join a team. Team Luke or Team Curtis. Get to it.
Crap.
Whoops.
I think I'm going to lose this one.
Backwards. Thank you for jumping in here. You know, at Be Good People, we're all about having conversations that help us all. We don't want to just preach to you about how you can be better. That's not who we are. We're not preachers. We're not, we're not dictating things to you. We want to have the conversation that
how we can be
us
more productive in our communities, within our circle.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're all about. And so we'd love for you to jump in with us in comments, direct messages, anything like that, to be a part of it. We've got, I'm going to say it at the front end, we have got a patron program. Curtis was unaware that this started when it did, but I kicked it off and then let him know after we had somebody support us. But yeah, if you want to be a part of this, financially, you can be a part of us. We're wanting to roll out more things like thinker events where we can get people together. We want to roll out highlighting organizations that are doing great thwe and talking about how we can advance those, doing those interviews and stuff. So we got big goals on where we want to go, and so we would love you to jump in with us and be a part of that. We've got some people that have already joined up, and we're very thankful for them. But we're in this book, Ezra Klein's Why We're Polarized, and so we're going through this. If this is your first episode with us, we've done four prior to this.
We took 2 episodes on chapter 3 because it was
a big
lot to unpack there.
And so if you wanted to, after you don't have to watch them necessarily in order, but you could watch this one and then go back and catch the others.
And the book's a pretty quick read, too.
It is.
I mean, it's a heavy read, but, I mean, you can get it done in a couple days, you know. But in the audiobooks,
you might read faster than normal. Let's say 3 days.
Okay. When I listen to my audiobook, I do like the 1.5 just to,
you do?
Yeah.
I don't speed mine up.
Okay.
I do it when I golf.
Yeah, okay.
So I go out on the golf course.
So you're taking your time.
Yeah.
No, I've got like 3 on the docket, man. Let's get this out and go. And usually I listen to them twice, so it's like, I'm going to miss something, but I'm going to catch it on the second.
You'll catch on this.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've never thought about speeding up the voice.
Yeah, man. I learned it in school because I had a book to read, and I bought it on Audible. I'm like, man, it's going to take me 8 hours to listen to this. Oh, I can play Call of Duty and listen to this at double time.
Did you do well in that class?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an English class, so I kind of bullcrap my way through it a little bit. If you get the general ideas, you're okay. Yeah. I'm great at,
and that's, I guess that's probably a difference we had. Like, you took English in college, but I learned it as a kid, so it wasn't hard for me, really.
Yeah. It's more than just the language, but I think you knew that, so I'm not going to jump into that.
I was either joking or I was an idiot.
What do you mean?
In that my
comment. Oh, in that, yeah.
And I would like everyone to agree that I was joking.
English, right? That's like...
I learned that when I was a kid. My parents speak English.
My 2-year-old speaks English. He really does. He's doing a great job now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Conquering the English language.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Hey,
it really is. That's what they say.
They say it's one of the harder ones to learn.
Yeah.
I guess it's because of there, and there.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking I can't remember the word. So
someone was telling me about, it was an English teacher talking to me about why English is so difficult, or why have we created a language over time that is so difficult?
Well,
why do B's and D's, like lowercase B's and D's, why do they sound so similar and they're just a mirror image of each other?
Yeah.
Like, M and N, really?
Yeah.
Like, we've created very complex...
We're the only English language where our meat has a different name than the animal it comes from.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't eat cow.
We've got some French in here. We've got some German in here. We've got some old
that's
British Isles. Yeah, no,
we are a diverse country.
It makes sense that English is a big one here.
Maybe it was you and I talking about it on a previous episode, but like, we're a melting pot country.
Yeah,
we deal with things that France doesn't have to deal with. Well, they're dealing with them now.
Yeah, well, we're a melting pot country in a country that's so freaking big too.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Like the melting pot you have in Nashville is different than the one you got in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's totally
like when you talk about France, you need to be talking about the EU.
When you talk about urban diversity in the United States, our urban environments are differently diverse in different areas.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah,
You know, and it's
yeah.
not the same.
Are you
people
talking
aren't
about the
dealing
urbans with the the refugees, or are you
Yeah.
talking about like
a non-refugee urban environment.
Yeah, yeah.
It's-
I mean, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's when the goal of the show is to get away from generalization. So like
Yeah.
that might be a future episode. That'd be cool.
But I mean,
yeah.
but that's, like we're talking right now in our country. I mean, we've got race relation issues. We've got, COVID is upon us, and it seems to not be going away.
No.
And people are reacting in different ways depending
Yeah.
on where they live. A lot of times they end up split by that. And so, I think we can just go ahead and admit our country's difficult.
It's very.
You know what I
difficult.
mean?
It's as
And-
difficult to learn as the English language.
Exactly. Exactly. Our language is not just difficult. Our culture and our society is difficult. And it's
Yeah.
okay that it's a struggle. And I don't think we should get depressed and throw our arms up in the air and say we can't do it. I think we keep going ahead, and we keep getting better,
United is the great word to focus on.
Yeah.
In our country's name. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
I think that's from Obama, wasn't it? We talked about that last episode.
We did. Yeah, we talked about his speech. Yeah.
We've got liberals, we've got conservatives, we've
Yeah.
got Muslims and Christians, and
Yep.
let's stop fighting for power and just live our lives where
Yeah.
we are.
But that's another thing too that we forget a lot of times, because we have become so nationalized and federal, and I'm not speaking against that, although I normally would as a conservative. But
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying a lot of times we do forget that we are a united 50 states and 13, 14 territories.
It's insane. So, like, speaking on the COVID stuff,
Yeah.
the president, the federal, okay, this is what I believe. I'm going to put my opinion in with what's going on.
We're good with that. Yeah.
So, the federal government is the system that should be like in the face of something that needs unification.
Yep.
We need a federal voice.
Yep.
So he passes the buck down onto the
has.
state's governors.
Mhm.
So our governor passed the buck down onto the county
Counties and cities.
executives.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Well, that's great because I can contact my county representative very easily.
But the problem is this issue is something we have to be united on.
Yeah, there's a great chance that he's going to see my email of the 30 people that take the time to email him.
Yeah.
The problem is that we need some coordinations to fight this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
could you
Well, and
imagine us
that's-
go to World War II and it's like, you know what? I agree
Yeah.
that this is an issue, but I'm going to put it to the states to cover their own armies. And it's like, okay, cool. Counties, you got this? Cool. So we've got like
The funny thing is,
3,000 armies.
when our government, and this is not we're expressing some opinions, when
Yeah.
it comes to building a border wall
yeah,
on the southern states' borders,
Yeah.
it's now everybody's job in the United States to
Yeah.
do that. You know what I mean? Like
State
that,
representatives
we're not
in
gonna let
Idaho now
we're not
are
letting the
running on
states
that.
do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're doing that federally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a weird, I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
We've tangented. But what are we talking about this week? Where are we at in this book?
I don't know. Last week we left off with the idea
We did.
that it's not possible to be rational.
Yeah,
with yourself.
you'd said talk more about that. What's that mean?
So here's some examples.
Okay.
Individual mandate, hotly contested thing. You're a conservative. What do you believe on that?
I don't believe.
Wait, did you know that it was created in 1989 by Republicans? Thoughts on that?
I'm just saying that we don't need to. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not I'm not a Republican first. I'm a conservative.
I know.
first. But I don't think we need to mandate people to have an insurance plan.
Okay, so in the
People can
late
choose to be
80s,
miserable if they want to be miserable.
the Republicans decided, well, you say that, but we have to wear a seatbelt. You have to have car insurance.
I don't like seatbelt laws.
Okay, well,
I don't like car insurance.
yeah, I know this.
I don't like any insurance.
I know this. This is
Yeah.
why I knew this was going to be
Yep.
difficult. But the idea was that the Democratic Party had Social Security, they had Medicare. It was a very left-leaning, way to go about this crisis. There was a healthcare crisis back then, just like there is now. But the Democrats were saying, hey, let's socialize it like we did Medicare. Let's just bring that age down.
Yeah,
Let's keep
just bring
working
that
that
age
age down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the Republicans were saying, let's find a good alternative that's good for business. So they came up with
Using private insurance.
individual mandate, which says that people have to buy insurance, just like you have to buy car insurance, just like you have to wear a seatbelt. You have to take some self-responsibility and buy this. which was weird because their reasoning, it was like kind of an idea, came a little bit from Milton Friedman, but it was well supported by him at least. But the idea was like, we're going to put this burden on you, but if you can't afford it, then we'll have government subsidies.
Yeah.
So that was the individual mandate.
Yeah. But you got to choose where you bought it from.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to buy it, but you can choose from providers.
In '93, it was the Republicans' counter to the Clinton health bill. That was, they brought this idea from '89 and did that. So Clinton said that was his failure. As soon as they presented that, he should have jumped on it.
Yeah.
That could have been Clinton care rather than Obamacare.
Yeah.
I jumped ahead. Ron Wyden was an Oregon senator, began building a proposal around that. They had 80 members in the Senate. There's 100.
Yeah.
It's a big
That's
number.
a big majority.
In 2006, and it was the most bipartisan health care in history, bigger than Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff. In 2009, Romney said a number of Republicans thinks this is a very good health care plan. That was Romney in 2009.
Yeah.
Who then made it, as he was governor, the health care plan in his state.
He made it for the state, yeah.
So Obama was against it when he was I think it was when he was a senator or state senator.
He was against it because not because it was because he wanted the universal.
Yeah, he said he didn't think it was because they can't afford it, or it was because they couldn't afford it, not because they didn't want it. That's why people didn't have health insurance.
Yep.
So he was more for like a Medicare for all kind of thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this led to Affordable Care Act, which has three legs. It's the subsidies, it's the individual mandate, and it's the dismissal of what is that? Pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
So all three of those things,
Yeah.
keep the stool up.
Yeah. But one's been cut out.
No,
Didn't we cut out individual mandate?
no, we didn't.
Oh.
They've been trying to push that through,
Yeah,
saying
okay.
it's unconstitutional, but it's been ruled in favor of multiple times. I think they're pushing for that right now. But
I believe we will see the losing of individual mandate.
I don't think so.
Okay.
2009, Republicans voted to call the individual mandate unconstitutional. Bob Corker, Lamar Alexander, you remember those guys?
Mhm.
That's our guys. All of those were co-sponsors of the Healthy Americans Act by that Oregon senator from 2006. So it's just like, okay, guys, this is like schizophrenic activity in Washington.
Yeah.
Like,
You're changing your view because it's the other team's view now.
yeah. But you
Right.
came up with the idea, and they're like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's go with it. It's like, actually, you know what? I don't like it.
Yeah.
2007, we'll get back to the Democrats. I'm not going to just crap on the Republicans all episode.
Actually, I do this often, but
Yeah.
there's an episode of The Office
Mhm.
where they're planning Michael's birthday party or something like that, and so Dwight presents some ideas.
Yeah.
But Jim decides to dress up that day.
Oh, the fancy.
Classy.
Classy.
That's not classy.
Yeah.
And so then he presents the exact
Yeah.
same ideas as Dwight.
Yeah.
But by saying that this is a classier version.
Yeah.
And
It's-
Michael's like, yeah, I want that,
Yeah.
And that's basically what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do this whenever you do this too, because there's always another episode that does it.
There always is, yeah.
There was that one call where Michael's like, we need some big ideas because the branch was about to close. And Andy's like, what if we have an answering machine that has pizzazz and pep? And he's like, yeah, I like that idea. And Jim's like, what if we have an answering machine with more pizzazz and even more pep? And he's like, yes!
Even
that's
better.
it."
Yes! Thank you.
And Andy's like, dang it, why did I think of that? That's how comical this stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is, right? It's
Yeah.
an office conference room.
That would be a great. We need to transition this into like a Washington, office.
Yeah. I'm up for it.
2007, John McCain and Newt Gingrich wanted a cap and trade to reduce carbon emissions, which is basically, hey, once you hit this limit of pollution, you don't get to produce anymore.
Or you can buy down.
Yeah, so I mean that would incentivize people who want to produce more. Say you're selling like 500 units.
Yep.
But 250 is your cap. Obviously, the demand is there, so that is going to incentivize you to reduce your emissions to get that other 250.
Sure.
That's the thought behind
What you do is you buy more facilities that produce nothing because that will bring down your overall average.
No, I mean it's not an average. It's
like a per square footage.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was.
I could be wrong. That's fine.
It was
Yeah.
emissions per unit or something. I mean,
Okay,
I don't.
all right.
It's pretty wonky language.
But that's where you get into car companies. Like you saw them produce a lot of like low emission vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they were offsetting their high emission vehicles. They weren't stopping the creation of these, but they were creating more lower ones because.
Well, what we
they were
saw with that
offsetting
was a lot of. I mean, didn't Tech get busted for that? They had published a study that was saying that some trucking company, or like I don't know, it was like a dump sand or rock dumping trucks were producing less emissions, and it turned out to be completely false.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It was a couple years back. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
But then, so this is a good one. 2008. You remember the Bush Stimulus Act?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you get anything for that? I wasn't old enough. To
yes, I
think
did.
of that. Okay.
Mhm.
So they pushed that through to get.
It was not $1,200. It was like $600 or something.
But then under Obama, they had a little bit of a recession. They were wanting to, or a threat of a recession, and they wanted to do a stimulus. And Republicans said that stimulus in no way could ever help the economy.
Yeah, clearly. No, definitely not.
But then I just got my Republican stimulus check a couple months back.
Yeah.
It helped.
Yeah. Thank you.
Funny how that works.
Yep.
Here we go for those at home keeping score. Romney in 2012, in a debate, he said Russia is our biggest geopolitical threat in the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
He got laughed off the stage.
Yeah.
And now, after Russia helped Trump win, they're like going to cause the end of the world. If you ask any Democrat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like group cues. That's what we call them.
I mean, it's comical looking at it. But the thing is, it wasn't comical when it played out.
No.
It's not comical when it's playing out. People get hurt when it's played out.
Yeah.
And other ones that we'll think are comical later are playing out right now.
Yeah. We always talk about studies. There was one where they brought in a bunch of students who were very aligned with one party or the other. Based off the cues, they had Republicans supporting what would be considered a welfare state and Democrats supporting super restrictive welfare.
Yeah.
Based off their party cues. You can read the book for more details on that, but like that was the ultimate results of it. It's like we want to believe that we arrive at our parties rationally and think that they would represent our values, but it seems more and more that we just are along for the ride. You know, either I got here on one issue and I'm along for the ride on everything else, or I was born and raised in this party and I'm you know, like, what do we do with that?
I don't know. I mean, gosh, I feel that's when we see it on the party level and in politics, it's like a magnification of what happens on the small level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, I think I'm like that, if not checked.
Yeah.
Like, I have to have checks I have to have friends that will tell me the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll do the same thing
on
a small level in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think if we have the right checks in place going forward, we can keep that from happening.
Yeah.
But I don't know what those are.
No.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. Well, honestly, it's all of us being more informed. But
I was listening to some Socrates today, and I don't know if he had this idea. He hated democracy. I don't know that I agree with him.
Yeah.
I just want to see what you think. He didn't think people should have a birthright to vote, and this was the guy who was, you know, there at the time that democracy was born. Yeah. You know, and it was the time that philosophy was born too. And he said that people needed to become philosophers before they became voters. And there's a theory out now.
So you earn your right to vote.
There's that theory out now that people who have expertise in a field vote should count more than the normal person.
That seems complicated.
Yeah. But who gets to decide that? You know, that's my issue with it.
Yeah.
It's like who's the
There's not a whole lot of people voting
that.
against their I mean, you're not proposing that would happen in the United States, but
no.
For it to happen in the United States, people would have to vote against their right to vote.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly. That's what I mean.
But
like, did we not just fight for the right for everyone to vote?
Yeah.
For us to take it away? Like, that just seems stupid.
But at the same respect, though, like.
But I get what they're saying.
But the problem is that the people that are voting are not necessarily a voice of the majority. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where we've gotten to in America, where that idea starts to look appealing.
Yeah.
Is because we're not actually seeing a voice of the majority. We're
No,
seeing a majority voice pushed onto people.
And I like the idea of America as not a mob rule, that the majority has to be, they can't just rule unquestioned, unchallenged.
Yeah.
That should not be, like, that's mob mentality. But on the flip side, we don't need minority rule either.
Yeah.
If there's a clear minority, they don't get to decide stuff.
Yeah.
They get to check the majority and make sure that their interests are, represented. But right now, it's like the flip of it. We're in that weird.
Well, and
how do we correct it? Just move it over a little bit, to where the majority is ruling, but while keeping the minority in mind.
But I don't know that. I mean, majority rule makes sense when you're a certain size. I'm afraid that I'm about to advocate for something that I've never believed before in my life. It's one of those UBI moments for me.
Exclusive.
But no, so I served in leadership at a company, and somebody that served with us, he oftentimes would quote, and I don't know who he was quoting, but he would quote this: "People are smart, but groups are dumb."
Yep.
So people are smart, but crowds are dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's that idea that each individual of those people, they're smart and they can process information. They're great. You can communicate with them directly, and that's fine. But when you're communicating to a crowd, you have to dumb everything down.
Lowest common.
You know what I mean? You have to reach that. And if our crowd is voting, then our dumb is voting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried about that. And again, I don't want to advocate for anything that I've never thought about, but I think there's some wisdom in, how do we vote, and when does majority vote not make sense anymore? Does majority vote work would that work in China?
I don't know.
There's billions of people over there, right?
Yeah, I think they're all. I don't know. I don't know much about China. So.
Yeah, I'm just, you know what I mean?
Political
for me, I'm just at a certain point, is there a breaking point in the number of people that you can actually have a working government with a majority vote?
Yeah.
And are we getting close to it? You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the majority frustrated, then there's talks of.
Yeah.
I
mean, the Electoral College existing was already a step saying we clearly can't do a popular one-for-one vote.
Right.
People.
Well, I mean, this is the guy these guys were reading about when they were deciding these things. All those guys were well versed in, Plato with Socrates and, Aristotle, all those guys. But, what they came up with made sense in 1776.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here, but the founding fathers, we always ask, well, what would the founding fathers say?
You can always jump ahead. They don't know.
Yeah, I know.
They don't have your notes.
They would say, what would the founding... Well, this was my end note, so we're going to have to land a different way.
Okay.
The founding fathers routinely deferred to what the Constitution meant to future generations.
Yeah.
It was Thomas Jefferson in his papers, or is a letter... He said he was very fearful of a future generation being led by those long dead before them. So he was a little skeptical about saying, these are the holy rights of America.
Yeah.
And you've got to know what we were thinking and quote us when every policy that you make, Yeah. And even they were they didn't agree on it. Jefferson was famous for saying that he believed each branch of the government had their own right to interpret the Constitution differently, not just the Supreme Court.
Yeah, okay.
The Supreme Court had ultimate authority on it, but they had to take into account what the Senate and the Congress and the executive branch were also saying about the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent they
committee.
do. A lot of these Supreme Court decisions, if you don't bring a good argument, then they're just, we're just going to leave it how it is.
Yeah.
Go figure it out. But if you come with a good argument, like with the Oklahoma that happened a few weeks back, they just sectioned off the eastern half to the reservations there for the Indians. They're saying this is tribal land.
Wait, what are we talking about?
This Supreme Court rulings.
Yeah, but no, but how much land? What?
It was like a half of it, a third.
Half of Oklahoma?
Yeah, but that's not saying it's not federal land. It's saying that the state doesn't have any jurisdiction over tribal people there. If you're not a tribal person, you don't get to automatically become, you know what I mean? You're still under the jurisdiction of those local authorities.
Oh, okay.
But any crimes put against like a Native American have to be judged by federal courts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not like, hey, we
Interesting.
just sectioned off and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get all this.
You
It's
get the
just
land.
we don't
And
abide
you
by
guys
your
move out.
rules. Yeah, we.
It's not Gaza Strip.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not moving people.
No,
out.
this is
Yeah.
our land, and
Yeah.
and I don't know how that's going to look. Maybe they section it off.
Maybe.
And, yeah, but I mean, right now, it's like I do what I want
Yeah.
according to my laws, and because this is my land, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's still under the federal jurisdiction.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But that was because it came to the judges, and they said, "Well, Congress hasn't done anything about this,
Yep.
and this was the original treaty that we had with them. So, yeah, that's what it is."
Yeah.
With the Trail of Tears
Well,
stuff,
yeah.
we gave them that
most
land.
Supreme Court rulings now are based on precedents.
Precedents.
That the
Unless
Supreme
there-
Court may have ruled on
Right,
before.
unless there's
So,
a good argument against that precedent.
Yeah,
you know?
and that could change it. But at this point, we build. That's people talk about, and I probably mention it more than I should. But like the pro-life movement,
I think you mentioned every episode.
I do. I'm a good conservative. But they
Really getting away from that single issue stuff.
Yeah, but oftentimes I use it as an example.
I know.
Because I think it's something that people can be like,
It's
okay, I know
genuine.
that picture,
Yeah.
I know that story.
Yeah.
But the overturning of Roe v. Wade, like that's always like a big push.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is that Roe v. Wade is good law.
Yeah.
Like you may not agree with it. It
Yeah.
may not be how you feel, and
Yeah.
it may not be how the majority of America feels, and maybe we should make some sort of amendment change to our Constitution
Yeah.
to make Roe v. Wade now
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
But it's good law. So
Yeah.
like you can't actually overturn no Supreme Court justice worth his salt is going to overturn that because like no, we base law on it.
Well, that's like-
that's where
yeah.
it is now. It's like no, we
Right.
base things.
Well, that's like with the Affordable Care Act. Like
Yeah.
Republicans they've always been asked, like, well, what's your alternative? This was their alternative. This was
Yeah.
their alternative to Medicare for all.
Yeah.
And they don't have one now because you can't make a two-legged stool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is in our current system, in our current economy, and our politics. Like, this is the only thing that works within those systems.
Yeah, but I'd say I'm no conspiracy theorist, but like there's probably a good chunk of Republicans out there that don't actually have a problem with Obamacare.
No.
In and of itself.
A lot of people have problems with Obamacare, but if you come after their Affordable Care Act, they've got a problem.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah, and I think that's, but that's for political reasons, for fundraising reasons. They can't,
Yeah.
can't give up on that.
Back to what your guy said. Ezra says,
Did you say your guy?
yeah, from your company. He was talking about groups that
okay,
are stupid.
yeah.
He said, Ezra says,
I was like,
politics
your
makes-
guy, or what
yeah.
are you going to do? Quote George W. Bush and then like
Here
smack me
comes
with him
another
or something? Like, is
Reagan
that,
quote.
yeah, like, well, who's my guy?
No, he says, politics makes smart people stupid.
Yeah.
Why isn't data more effective in political debates? Like, it's clearly cut that climate change is happening from a majority consensus of scientists, but the debate is still there. So there's an experiment again that kind of shows this. They brought in like 1,000 people, surveyed on their math skills. First test was over like skins cream or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the basis of the test is the better you were with math, the more correct you were. And I don't know the intricacies of it. Like,
Okay.
read the book, and
Yeah.
it's got more info there.
Because there's rational thought,
Right.
a looking at details,
Yeah.
a looking at
Yeah.
facts and figures, and then making a decision. I
Yeah,
get that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're better at math, better at making decisions.
There's
I
a
get
second test that was done over gun control laws,
Mm-hmm.
and city crime rates skyrocketing with and without banning gun.
it. Yeah.
And not only did the math skills not
Math
play a
didn't help.
factor, but smarter people who saw the numbers would explain away the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
They were more, and the smart people on both, like if you're a conservative or a liberal, were more farther away on partisan issues.
Yeah.
So people weren't using their skills to find a true answer.
But
They were looking for answers that made them right.
But this is I mean, that's statistics in general. So
Yeah.
you take statistics and then people sit around, analysts
Packaging
are
facts.
supposed to look
Yeah.
at them and say, okay, this is what the report says. But when you delve politics into analytics, all of a sudden you're saying, how can we make this say the story when it's out? This is WMD's. This is Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
This is Libby. This
Yeah.
is, and I don't know if you know what I'm referencing.
I know
but
what you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
that right there is all about, they had all the facts. These are all the facts. There's
Absolutely.
no nuclear
Yeah.
program
Yeah.
in Iraq. We have the facts. There's not. We've checked everywhere. We've talked to people. No one's selling them uranium.
Yeah.
This is not the case.
Yeah.
And then they come in and they say, but maybe we could, the aluminum tubes, maybe they could be
Explain it to me
used.
like I'm a five-year-old.
and I'm getting into details
Yeah.
of it. You know what I mean? You can,
No, you're right, yeah.
But that's what that
Aluminum
whole
tubes,
conversation.
man.
Aluminum tubes. Well, they're not the right size for a century. But me, I mean, maybe.
do you know what's in aluminum tubes?
Have you
Do I have
ever-
to explain this
Are you
again
a scientist?
to
Have you ever done that? You know,
I know about
that
this a
was
lot
that
because
whole
of the
thing.
Dave Chappelle sketch where
Oh,
he was
I don't
he was the black version of George W. Bush.
Okay.
He comes to the podium. He's like, aluminum tubes. I don't know how many times I have to say this, and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Aluminum tubes, man." I'm like,
Yeah.
And so I had to research. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
that was people bought into this, or
Yeah.
just could
Yeah.
explain it away based on this.
And there were aluminum tubes, but they were the wrong size and not for this. They weren't built high enough for the right purpose.
Yeah.
Like it was like completely off.
Yeah.
And everybody, and it was really seen. All of the WMD stuff was seen as a fault of the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And the CIA is like, we gathered research, and then you guys told a story.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like we didn't tell a story. We
Yeah.
just gathered research.
There's
Anyway,
another.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I
No,
know
no,
that's
you're
not
right.
what we're
You're
on, but
absolutely.
that's-
No, that was it.
Yeah.
Another survey they did. They brought in samples of experts in certain fields, biography, and a summary of their research, and people tended to view scientists as credible as long as their research reinforced their ideology.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like experts are credentialed when they agree with me.
Yep.
We saw that with the COVID stuff, with
Yeah.
the pandemic. It's like 99 people agree
Yep.
that this is an issue, but there's one person who was outcast from her community. She's telling it like it is.
Yeah.
You know, she's the real truth warrior.
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, I think that, like, what were we talking about? Yelp reviews?
Yeah.
It's like, if 99 people tell me,
Yeah.
hey, at this Burger King, you're probably going to, like,
Yeah.
have some sort of, like,
99 people have told me that there's rats.
yeah. Well, I'm not going there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, that's just liberal
but
bias.
that's what it is. Though. It's Yelp
Yeah.
reviews. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
That's
at
just
a certain
conservative
point,
bias. Yeah.
at
Like,
a certain point, you got to pay attention to those numbers because it just doesn't make sense.
No.
You know? And I think we see it with, with
when you find
You
yourself
said-
in
you
a
said
position
pandemic.
where you have to like explain away everything just to prove that you're right,
Yeah.
you're probably wrong.
yeah. If you have to concoct a conspiracy theory, you're probably wrong. You might not be wrong. There might be a conspiracy. There might be.
That likely
It's
doesn't
just
happen
It's just not likely.
based
you know?
on like probability numbers, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Nah, these are highly well respected, well regarded people in their like expertise field.
And I'm in like an anti-conspiracy theorist.
Me
So
too.
if someone
Yeah.
presents me with a conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
I will assume from the get-go this isn't true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
He
I-
mentions
I-
that. He was saying that you talk to a 9/11 truther, and they can tell you the exact temperature at when metal steel beams melt, and you're like, "Wait, what?" Like that's
How
the
do you know
degree.
that?
That's the degree you have
Yeah.
to get to like believe this stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, but like you realize how crazy you sound right now. You know what I mean? Like,
But this is the problem, though, for me, though. I'm so anti that. I don't let normal truths
yeah,
that, like, I don't see support for, like, you should lock your doors on your house. The problem is, I live in Cookeville, and there's not a whole lot of home invasions.
Mhm.
Like, the likelihood of my home being broken into
yeah,
or walked into
hmm
is so low.
yeah,
Actually, it doesn't matter if I lock my door or not.
yeah,
I mean, and actually, in most times that a home is broken into, a door is locked.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
yeah.
and so for me, like, and I'm not saying anyone should line up or change their views on
I was about to say, I'm
but
gonna
for
lock my
me,
door
I'm
still.
like, yeah, lock your door anyway. Because who cares? You just lock it. Mine auto locks now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only reason it gets locked, is
Yeah.
because it locks after 2 minutes. But for me, like, I don't, like, I never really lock my doors because I was like, no, that's not true. I'm not going to live by that. I'm not gonna let that weird truth that we're gonna get hyper crazy about impact the way I'm living.
Yeah.
And that's even, you know, this COVID's been tough for me.
Yeah.
Because everything in me says, oh, it's just flu. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like,
And then the numbers show up.
and the numbers show up.
You're like, oh,
It's like, well, it
crap.
is, you know, and I hate it. I hate that it has to be, and that
Yeah.
I have to impact my life for this thing. But
Yeah.
I do. You know?
Oh, you do. Absolutely.
And sorry, I'm.
No, you're right. I mean, that is the correct rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
They call it motivated reasoning. We just discuss that reasoning is a group project,
Yeah.
but also realize that group reasoning is also
Yeah.
the danger of that. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
we've got to, if we're reasoning stuff out and we have to explain away more things than the things that could lead us to truth, we need to check ourselves.
Yeah.
I think this was a pretty short chapter, but like it was a good consensus of
Yeah.
like examining ourselves and our biases. I'm cool with people saying like, hey, all teachers have an agenda. But if you're saying that and not realizing your own agenda, then you've got an agenda. You know, like everyone has an agenda.
Yeah.
If you're not realizing that and reasoning that out to find the truth, then you're just looking for a way to be right.
And I think sometimes we get hung up on, we start to think that maybe only our way is the only way.
Yeah. No.
Like, and our way might be the best way for us. It might not be the best way for our society.
Yeah, and it might be the best way that we found so far.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there are better ways.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
I hear a lot of people saying, well, you can't complain about America because this country has it worse. So are we ready to argue that we don't have to do anything?
Yep.
We don't have to be better in any way until the rest of the world catches up with us.
And then we deal with it. That's garbage.
That
I hope
seems,
not.
that seems kind of
I mean,
dumb.
and that you see that
Seems
that's,
lazy.
That's how companies fail.
Yeah.
That's how Kodak doesn't make digital cameras. I mean, they were the only film producer in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were the gold standard of photography.
Yeah. And
And
now
then
everybody
now-
with the iPhone can do it.
I mean, but they
Kodak,
rejected
like the bear.
they rejected digital photography because they're like, no, it's going to cut into our business. No, that's not the way we want to go. No, digital photography will kill the film business. We're not going to develop a digital. People were bringing them projects and saying, let's develop this. And they were saying, no, we're not going to do that because it's not what we know and it's not what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're not in the game.
No, they're gone.
Now they're completely out.
They're
They
a
didn't see.
hipster novelty. You know?
Yeah. I mean, but you know, if you don't, if we can't as a country see that the future is going to be different than today, and be ready for those changes.
Well, and that's why I wanted to end with the founding father stuff. Is that we've got to get past the novelty. Even them, as like the most progressive, intellectual members of our society at that time, said. We don't have all the answers. You guys figure this out as you go.
They made an amendable constitution.
If we're always going back but what did they think? It's like, okay, cool. What did what did Henry Ford think about hybrid cars?
Yeah.
He didn't know about
What did your dad think about raising kids?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to raise your kids just like your dad did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, when it gets a little bit closer, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know? But like
exactly.
The generation before you surely we've given it some thought and we've evaluated some things and you know what I mean? So 200 years before us, we've got some time to evaluate.
We got to keep standing on the shoulders of the people who came before us, not getting back down to their level. You know, like we're just setting ourselves back. You know, like I'm going to stand on the same ground they did, or you could get on their shoulders and allow your kids to have an even better life. Isn't that the dream?
That's the point.
Isn't that the dream
That's
for
the
everybody?
Point. And I say it all the time. You know, they made the Constitution amendable.
Yeah.
They started off with things are going to change.
Yeah.
And so when things change, don't be like, this isn't what our founding fathers would have wanted.
Yeah,
they literally made it to where they can change.
Yeah.
Like that was their
when you've got
the
like
biggest principle.
60% of the population wanting something, then let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I think that's the end today. Are we wrapping?
No, that's it. I mean, that's where we're at today, and that's where we're at on this episode.
The discussions? Yeah, what are the discussions going forward then? I mean,
what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean, are we slaves to the people who built our house, or do we get to add an extension on? You know?
Hey, that's a great picture. I've not heard that one before. Do we get to put on an addition if we want to? Do we get to change a bedroom's paint color?
We're brainstorming an addition on my house. Yeah. I had nothing to do with the building of it, though. Yeah. And I'm not going to call them and ask for permission. You know? You know what I mean?
I love that. That's good. That's good. Wait, is that a liberal argument? If it is, then I'm totally against it. And I think that's dumb.
What does that idea say about me?
Hey, this book's been good. Kurt, thanks for bringing it to my attention and putting it in my life. And I hope you guys have picked it up, and I hope you're reading it. If not, that's okay. Just jump in with us, jump in the conversation. Yeah. You don't have to have read the book to make comments on this and get in the conversation. That's totally fine.
Basically comment on what we're talking about.
But we do. I mean, we are trying to develop a culture that is up for conversation. So put something out there and say, you know, how does this sound? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Not this is the way, but how does this sound?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
it.
so that's the conversations we're trying to build here. Thanks for jumping in with us, whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts,
Yeah,
or Google
YouTube,
Play,
yeah.
YouTube. Thanks for joining us. A like, a comment, a share, those always help. We'd love to have those things. You can also be a patron. I already talked about that though. So I won't talk about it again.
Yeah.
I won't talk about how you can be a patron by donating as little as $2 a month. At $8 a month, you get access to our exclusive content. But I'm not going to talk about it. I am not going to bring that up. That you can go to patron.podbean.com/begood and do that. But I'm not going to. I am not going to say a word.
Well, I'm
this
glad,
episode, I'm not going to bring it up.
Yeah, I'm glad you established that. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya. That was all right.
Yeah.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed the discussion here, and if you did, go ahead and click that like button. That helps us out. Also, if you're not a subscriber, you should be. If you subscribe and hit the bell, then you get a notification every time we post new content. That way you can stay up on all the discussions we're having. If this conversation resonated with you, maybe share it with a friend over on social media. And also, we've got some other videos, so feel free to check those out and join in anywhere.